Hello traders, welcome to session 115, how to day trade any market, the $1,000 a day challenge. What I teach you in these sessions you can apply to forex, to futures, to stocks, to virtually any market, even though nowadays my preference is the futures markets for a whole lot of reasons which we won't get into during this session. Now for the young guns here, if $1,000 a day is not enough for you, of course you can increase the amount of contracts you trade or the time that you're trading. That is, you can put in, rather than put an hour or two a day in, you might choose to put 3 or 4 hours a day in, but more on that as we get along with this session. Now I do need to first of all, I was about to get to the disclaimer. Hopefully that comes up in a moment. In today's session, it's really about how to day trade the oil market, CL or Micro CL. Now if you're not familiar with this market, the Micro CL is $1 per tick per point, and CL is $10 a point or per tick as well. Well, I shouldn't say as well, it's 10 times the value. So if you don't have the account size, which we'll discuss in this session, to trade the large account, you can start on the micro. As always traders, there is a risk in trading. Please don't trade with money that you can't afford to lose. I'll give you an extra warning with today's video because I was trading 4 markets, which I recommend, absolutely recommend, new members or new traders do not trade multiple markets at once. There's really no need to. I like to get in and get out, get paid, but I've been day trading now for 28 years, so I've got a slight advantage, but and it's fairly unusual I do that. But what I had was, as you'll see, 4 markets trending at the same time. But more on that when we get to the screenshots in a moment. Now, very quick advertisement: if you haven't already, please download my ebook, The Truth About Day Trading. The link in the description, or the what do I say? The link's in the description link below. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can be kept up to date. And once again, very quick ad, everything I show you here, as far as my entire course, you can get for $197. And I know it's a little quick sell, but join me or not, but all of my indicators, there's over 200 hours of video training, there's 38 PowerPoints, and probably even more importantly is all of my indicators are included. Now I've coded indicators for NT8 and TradeStation. If you've got a trading platform where I don't have the indicators for, I give you the code, and of course you basically understand the inner workings of every one of my indicators, so you can code it for basically or customize indicators on virtually any trading platform. Now I'll show you also towards the end of the video 2 new two new indicators. By the way, I should say this: all of my videos are raw, real, and unedited, okay? But I've just coded 2 new indicators for NinjaTrader, which I'll show you, which are really nifty on trade entries. I think you'll find it interesting. But you can, I've actually coded it years ago for one of the indicators for TradeStation. But anyway, basically you get my entire program, 197, but also you can attend 8 of my live coaching sessions. So every Tuesday and Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I run a 2-hour session. I have hundreds of traders that are booked or log into these sessions globally. Basically, I think last count we've got traders from 23 countries around the world, which you can attend. That's included in that session. After the month 1, if you like what you see, you can drop me an email. It's not an automatic enrollment, so it's all right. You join, 197 is all you pay. Then after that, you can drop me an email if you wish to continue with the coaching sessions. Let's now get into this. First of all, I bring this up, and the reason I bring this up, a game changer for 98% of the population, I bring this up in every video: would $1,000 a day change your life? Well, it would for 98% of a population. How do we achieve this? I'm not going to be talking to you about targeting $800,000 per contract. Is that possible on the ES per day? On the ES and CL, yeah, it is, and gold. However, for they're very experienced traders, and you've got to be putting the time and effort in. However, scalping for 1 to 300 a day is extremely realistic, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that today. So $1,000 a day, let's chunk it down to a bite size where anyone can achieve this. Okay, so here 10 contracts by $100 a day. Now that's only 10 ticks in this business. I'm going to be showing you which of the trades you should be taking to achieve this, or maybe you want to go for 5 contracts with just 20 ticks a day. Maybe if you're an experienced trader or you're willing to put the time in, you go for 40 ticks a day, which is very achievable on this market with some of the scalping techniques I'm about to show you. Now you'll see that most of my charts and trading that I do nowadays is on the Renko charts, but you can apply what I do to any type of chart. So Tick and Renko are my 2 favorites. I love hard charts, which is the combination of Renko and Heikin-Ashi, but you can apply it to anything, but there's some very good reasons why I do prefer Renko charts. Now, as I will point out a number of setups, if you're a new trader, when you first look at these charts and some of the things I talk about here, it can be a little confusing. Okay, it's like drinking, or can be a bit like drinking out of a fire hose. This is what Mark Douglas has, the late Mark Douglas, unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, too young. But what he stated was in his book, The Disciplined Trader, which by the way should be every trader's trading Bible. To become an expert, choose one simple trading system that identifies a pattern, preferably one that is mechanical rather than mathematical. So you'll be working with a visual representation of market behavior, and that's exactly what I do. I trade geometric patterns that appear in the market every day, and they're patterns that are driven by human behavior, and they're easy to learn, which is very important. Now I'll quickly go through some of these trades that I took on other markets, but I want you to imagine here that we're taking them all out on oil, okay, on CL, which is after these I'll focus. I was almost not going to show you these, but it's what included in my trade results. So I had 6 out of 6 here, but as I state here, this shouldn't be attempted by new traders. Focus on initially 2 markets. Why 2 markets? If one market's very quiet, you can then perhaps look at the other market, but do not trade multiple markets initially. The other thing here is to remember the 2% rule. As day traders, we never ever risk more than 2%. Yes, I know some of you may disagree with that and say, look, I want to risk 5%, maybe say 1%. Good on you, because I risk less than 1%. Well, actually that's not entirely, between 0.5 and 1% is what I risk per trade. There's an old saying, there are old traders, there are bold traders, but there are no old bold traders. Money management is everything. If you risk 5%, 6%, you are going to blow your account. You will have 4 or 5 losses in a row. That's just part of trading, and it can be devastating. So master the art of trading the right way, and if you don't have the account size, start on the micro. And do you know what? There's going to be so many traders clicking off now. They don't want to hear this. They just want to get rich quickly. Get rich slowly. Okay, stay in this business. The rewards are fantastic. And by the way, why don't I trade 100 contracts at a time? It doesn't suit my personality. It's a fallacy about the average day trader trading 100 contracts, because if you watch my videos, you'll see I've got a good 80 to 90% strike rate overall. So why not trade 100 contracts? You know what? I'm 65. My heart couldn't handle it. It's not my personality to trade 5 to 10, no problems. But above that, no, it doesn't suit me. So yes, you'll have the occasional day trader like your Marty Swartz who might trade 500 contracts, but they're pretty rare traders. So don't get caught up with this thing. Why do I teach? I teach because I day trade. I'm finished, as you'll see, within an hour or 2, and I love teaching, and I earn a great income from teaching and from day trading. And either way, look, whether you become a member or not. Sorry, and the reason I bring this up, I got a message on YouTube the other day, or a comment. Oh, my videos are boring. Well, I know that particular person was not into mastery, or they're probably not profitable, because the best day traders I know want to learn. In other words, what we want to look for is, say if you're already an experienced trader, look at what I teach and say to yourself, what can I use what Ray teaches to improve what I'm already doing? Is there a way of improving my entries or my exits? Most of my trades, for example, my 2Bs have been around since the year dot. There's nothing new, as Gann said, under the sun. But I'm always looking for, like, as you'll see with a couple of little cool indicators I've got now, how can I improve my entries and my exit? But anyway, let's get into this. I just wanted to mention that you know, it's about learning. It's about having that growth mindset. Anyway, look, this is on the 6J, so this is at 2:44 a.m. Central Standard Time. I love the 6J, the yen. That's $6.25 a tick. You've got great volume on it. I love trading the after hours market, the Globex market, which opens up at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Those hours suit me. I'm not up for the one. It's sort of 11-12 o'clock at night now, the Eastern Standard Time, when the market opens. I call it the killing field anyway, right? Yes, it sounds glorious and wonderful, trading the fast track, the fast market in the morning. However, many a trader loses their shirt multiple times. If you want to learn how to trade, start with a slower market. But I love the Central Standard Time this time. By the way, it's around the London Open. Should bring that in. Now this one here is what I call a T10, a reversal technique. But on the way down, there would have been a number of multiple entries. You still would have been in this one, and this is the pivots just down here, which we'll talk about when we get to the chart. So always be careful when you're selling into a pivot or at a pivot. So that was a nice little winner. I then had this one, and in fact this was a mistake. I shouldn't have taken this trade. Whenever you take a trade, you've got to always say to yourself, do I have blue skies ahead? What I mean by that, what's in front of my trade? And it really, I think I was looking at something on the anchor chart at the time, but here I'd and for members watching this, we had a beautiful T3 just there. I wasn't on the T3, but right here I sold this one. I had a slingshot, but what I had here was on an anchor chart, major support, that's that black line on my anchor chart 1, and I had a 200 EMA, and I got out here with only 1 tick. Now in fact, I could have got out with 4 or 5 ticks, but it came down and it bounced, and by the time I exited, but I should not have actually taken that trade because I was so close to major support resistance levels. Now the NQ, I love the NQ, but I also call it the nasty NAS or the nifty NAS. Depends how it's reacting, because the great thing about the NASDAQ is the fantastic trading range you can get, but once again you've got a lot of volatility. So I just had for members watching this, just 2 classic 2Bs. I wasn't in on that one, but I jumped in on this one here. So and I've actually scrunched this chart up a little bit just so I could fit my entries and exits, just 5 lots on each, but 2 really nice short trades there, trading with the trend, which is the best way to be trading, especially for new traders. Now see the white paint bar, that's what I call the super scalper. You had a heap of trades you could have taken. Now let's talk about the CL, the Texas T, the black gold. This, by the way, is the market analyzer. These are pretty much the markets. 80% of these markets I'm interested in. They either give me a gauge of what's happening globally or I trade them. Now here we're going to be looking at CL. Now if we look at CL here, this is taken after the market closed. This particular day we turned over 226,000 contracts on this particular screenshot, not necessarily the day I'm about to show you, but this is fairly typical. And on the micro we had 69,000 contracts trade on that particular day. And look at the ES down here, 1.5 million contracts, which is typical of what the ES trades on a daily basis. So what's important with any market that we trade, we want to have a good healthy trading volume. Now you'll hear me actually say, if for members watching this, you'll hear me say all the time, 5 by 5, yes I can. 3 by 8, yes I can. Weird mantra, I know, but it's getting in state. My target is generally going to be, if I'm trading oil, 400 a day per contract. And so the 5 by 5 relates to scalps. I love scalping for 5 to 6 ticks per contract on oil, and I've got a couple of techniques that I use for that. And then I've got my deeper pullbacks called the 2 and 3 B's, where I'll go for 8 to 10 ticks, but you'll get a lot more scalping opportunities. So here, if we're to get 5 net trades and 3 net on these, this is after commissions, $400 a day plus. Okay, so we're going to be focused in, how do you do that? How can you realistically achieve that? Now the first thing, traders, is what if you don't have the $5,000 required to trade this? Now I know you might be thinking, well Ray, my broker says I only need $500 to $1,000 day trading margins. That may be right, traders, but if you're trading oil, say with a 10 tick stop loss on the big contract, that's $100. What's 2% of $5,000? $100. If you don't have 5,000, you can get away with 4,000, which I'll briefly talk to you about in a moment. Go to the micro, start on the micro. Now one of the challenges with the micro is that your commissions are higher than, say, even trading the micro ES or the NASDAQ or the Dow or the Russell. You're paying around $1.60. I think it's $1.58 or something like that with NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader, I've got no direct connection, except to say they're an excellent broker and their commissions are excellent. But there you're paying around, say, $1.60 instead of, say, around $1.20, or what is it? Well, I don't have the table there in front of me, but I don't trade the micros anymore. I trade the big ones, but I think it's about $1.20 or something, and that can make a big difference when you're scalping. So here in this case, if you day trade with I'm going to give you a realistic plan here. Okay, so what will you do with $1,000 a day, 5,000 a week? It'll change your life. Okay, so you get a big enough why. I'm going to now give you how you get there. So you start off with $500 in your account. Even if you have $5,000 or $10,000, start with a micro, cut your teeth, make all the mistakes you're going to make after being on the simulator, and then we go over, sorry, I'm just looking at different markets as they're ticking over. Then you go to the micro. So here if we go for just 20 ticks a day, which is $20 after any losses in commissions, within 15 weeks you've now got, well actually you're earning $980 a week, which a lot of traders will be happy with that. But then you've got $5,740 in your account here, and you can now start trading the big contract. So over the 15 weeks you've built your account on $20 a day. And how this compounding table works, oh, and by the way, you can get a copy of this if you go to the description link below. You can download a copy of this, and I've even got a little link to a video on how to actually use this, because there's a certain way you use this. Okay, so down here we want to be trading 2Bs, and so on average you're going to need between 4 and 5 trades a day to net $20 a day. Okay, now once you've built your account, you can now go over and start trading the big contract. Okay, now here I've upped your earnings from $20 a day to $250 a day, which is only 25 ticks. And the reason being, it's a lot easier to achieve 25 ticks on the big contract, believe it or not, than what it is on the micro. Commissions have a lot to do with it. You've got fantastic volume, you get less what we call slippage. There's a whole lot of reasons. Now within 12 weeks from there, you can see there you're on your potentially, I've got to say potentially, you're on your $12,000 a week earnings with only there trading 11 contracts. This is the true potential. The challenge is most traders are not willing to put the effort into learning this. It's not difficult. You just got to, it's not rocket science. Just got to learn the patterns. Now, just here, say if you want to start trading, rather than put a couple of hours a day in 3 or 4 hours a day, you jump up to 400 a day, which is going to sort of, I'm going to say, max out at that. Just allow yourself maybe 4 or 5 hours to achieve that. Once again, greed is what kills traders in this business. Greed, lack of discipline, lack of patience, money management, lack of money management. But here within 7 weeks, you're there earning your $10,000, $13,000 a week. Now, what if though you started with 4,000? So just want to show you this here. Say if you roll over, and what this means is, and I've got a now little nifty indicator which will allow you to do this. Your loss ratio will be slightly higher, but you could start off with 4,000 rather than 5,000. I'm still recommending 5,000, but for experienced traders, you can get away with an 8-tick stop, and I know we can actually get away with as little as a 6-tick stop, but we like to, and look, I'll show you this on the charts. But here on $200 a day, within 12 weeks there, okay, 13 weeks, I'm up to my 12,000 a week. Now I go and increase that to 300 a day, okay, and look where I am. I'm there within 8 weeks. And here you only start trading an additional contract every time you double your money. So it's a realistic trading plan. Here's the bottom line, traders. Start off with 500. You may choose after 5 or 6 weeks to jump to the big contract. Maybe you've got the capital behind you, but if you don't, in 15 weeks your account's now up at 5.7. You can now roll over to the big contract, where realistically to trade correctly you need 5,000, and then based on 250 a day net, which is only 25 ticks, in 12 weeks you've now got your 12,000 plus potential capital, and your 5,000 or 500 is now $57,000. Total time taken 27 weeks. Time's going to pass anyway, and this is where most traders know, I want to get rich quick, and they never make it. Okay, they want to blame me, they want to blame the strategies, they'll blame the news that comes out, they'll blame everyone except themselves. Okay, get rich slowly. Now down here I then say to you, let's say, where will you be financially in 40 weeks? Why 40 weeks? Before you go live, start on the simulator, master the setups on the simulator. I want you I want you to join my live trading room. I want you to join. I have both a live trading room, by the way, and a coaching room. All new traders go to the coaching room. That's where you want to start. But then if you choose to, you can join my live trading room. Okay, I want you to be a member there, but you're only going to be there if you're making money, or if you're learning, if you're serious about trading. So you've got to master the setups first. So it might take you a month or two to do that. And no, some traders will say, I want to do it now. Traders, you can read as many books as you like about how to play the piano, or how to fly an aircraft, or even how to swim, but it's not going to make you a swimmer. It's not going to make you a pilot. You've got to really watch, listen, and learn the right way how to trade. Let's get to the charts. Before we do, the best way to master the art of day trading is, sorry, I'm just watching price action, what's happening here, is I trade with 3 time frames. I have what we call an anchor chart 1, or an entry chart I should say, which is these little pullbacks here. Then I've got an anchor chart 1, the dark blue line. Then I have the anchor chart 2, which I don't have on here, which I'm really more interested in for longer term trends and reversals. So what we want to be doing is looking for retracements and pullbacks and trend continuations in the direction of the higher time frame. What we also want to be doing here is looking for our divergence trades, which is down here. Now there's also something else that we need to be considering, which will have a massive positive effect on your trading. First of all, we want to know where our pivot levels are. Okay, so I use pivots and traditional floor pivots and Camarilla pivots. We also, where are our prior days open, high, low, and close, the 89 and 200, our swing lows and our current high and low, and on oil my round numbers, which I'll show you those in a moment. Now all of these plot automatically on the charts, so there's nothing for you to have to think about except to print this out of my cheat sheet folder and to be looking at these regularly. So let's now go and have a look at this. So what we're going to do is we'll look at the trades I've taken, then we'll even jump forward to what's happening now in the Globex session. Now it's only 11:14 p.m. Central Standard Time, so we'll jump forward in a moment and have a look and see what's happening live in the market, which I can actually see here. But anyway, these are potential entry points, all of these here, and you can see here we roll over. We call these T20. See these white lines just there, not that thicker one, but see these white lines? These are the 10-cent levels. Now with oil, every time you go from one level to another, that's $100. That's 10 ticks. Now I want you to notice how when we break a level, how often we go. We don't always. I've got a nice trend here, but how you go from one 10-cent level to another. One of the greatest, best kept secrets in trading oil. See down here, I'm bouncing off the 20-cent level. Up here, see how I'm bouncing off the 70-cent level. And each time we step down, each 10-cent level, it's $10. Okay. Now for members watching this, this is a plain vanilla T3 just here. Okay, so it's what we call our traders a T3, which is a mean reversion trade, reversion of a mean. And the great thing about T3 setups is you don't have to have any divergence. Now for new traders, I'll try to stay focused on trading with the trend. Now as we pull back, this is just a plain vanilla trade entry right there, and we call this a 2B. Okay, now I'm going to show you, and I'm just going to move something over here, just my little recording device there. So down here, when we take these targets, we don't always come down and hit them, but this is what we call a 2B, and I'll be quick because there's a lot more I want to show you here. Then for members watching this, then turns into what we call a bet the farm trade. How far do we go? Now let me just explain. I'm jumping ahead a little bit too fast here. My entry is going to generally be somewhere down here. Depends whether it's what we call a rule of one entry or a super scalper entry. Where's my stop go? One tick above, one tick above. And that is why quite often we need a 10 tick stop loss. Because if we get in down here, I'd like to see my stop one tick above the swing there. Here, so you had a little scalp there, you had another one here, you then, and that was a bet the farm for members watching that, and you then had another little double top. And notice here we are bouncing off a pivot here. So those are pivots. See that red line there? That's a Camarilla pivot called the S1, which stands for support 1. So you can see there we bounce off it, we bounce off it, we bounce off it, and down we go. Okay, now we're coming back up. As we pull up, now I've got no idea, and I can't remember, this is a couple of days ago now, what happens here, but whenever we pull up to our major EMAs, you're always expecting, and there it is there, an entry. It's really quite simple, looking for a retracement, looking for a major EMA bounce, but then we're looking at what's happening on our anchor chart 1 and 2. Very simple. We just want to know and confirm our trend direction. Here I had a bounce, thank you very much. Now there I shorted 5 contracts here and went for 10 ticks, okay, which is a $500 move. Thank you very much. Now we've also got a concept you call front running, and we can go for larger moves. Now I like to go for between 8 and 10 ticks on CL. I found that works really well. But if you want to go and squeeze a couple of extra ticks out, see down here we've got what we call a round number. So there I could have actually squeezed out probably another 4 ticks and just front run this level, which means getting out 1 or 2 cents above that low. Okay, and I've also got an indicator which draws these swings in. as well, but and naturally an indicator, it drops in these round numbers. Now I've only got the round number indicator for Ninja Trader, but it's very easy just to drop in horizontal lines. Now as we pull back, okay, I've got a nice downtrend. Look at my EMAs. I'm looking for another entry, and I enter right here, just a plain vanilla entry, and I think I got out here, and there I only picked up 6 ticks, I think, in this particular trade. Now I go to break even. By the way, I'll generally go to break even at +6 or +7 ticks. So if I'm after 10 ticks, I go to break even at +7. That's my entry price. If I'm after 8 ticks, I go to break even at +6. So then I'd picked up another couple of trades. So I'd already fired off. So this is 2 winning trades out of and stick around because I want to show you something very nifty in a moment. We're 30 minutes in. Okay, I'll be quick. I'd already fired off some other winning trades, so I was absolutely killing it. My target, by the way, is 1,000 to 1,500 a day, so I was up 1,600. But then we had another potential entry just here. I'd already hit my target. Just notice here we're off trending EMAs. Thank you. Down of a pivot and down or around number. We then hook up. We then had a bounce. Now this one may have ended up as a loss, by the way. Whenever you come back to your 200, that's a 200 EMA, you've got to be very careful. Okay, this is where we're more likely to have a reversal, but then we had a nice reversal there. And by the way, was that a 50? There was also an exact 50% retracement, exact. And then you had a really nice divergence trade, bounce off your round number, and a short trade just there. Now just here, and I want to show you something else. But just there, why not? Why didn't I take this particular setup? A super scalp was there because I was selling right at the pivot. Couple of things. Has the anchor chart 1 candle closed in the direction of your trade? Great confirmation tool. And number 2, what's in front of my trade? Do I have blue skies ahead? When you sell directly into a pivot, yes, 50% of the time you may go through, but the other 50 may come up and stop you out. It's just not a great probability trade. But here's what I want to quickly show you, just this little nifty tool I've now got here for Ninja Trader. This is what I call my rule of 1 entries. Now these, and so I've got so new members or members watching this, some of you may not even be aware of this. I haven't sent out the training video, but what I've got is my black dots here trading with the trend. So I've got an alert on these now. So if you're trading your rule of 1 entries, okay, these are all rule of 1 entries here. You've got the alert giving you the alert when to take these trades. Now here once again you're at the pivot, and I know some of you are saying, look at all that crap on the charts. Traders, you don't have to have them all on there. Once you understand them, now I understand the logic behind it. If you're a pure price action trader, you like to have a clean chart and you're already profitable, fantastic, keep doing it. If you're not, be open-minded to the possibility, because I've also got another little here, the trade line. See the arrows? These arrows appear, not the black one here, but these colored ones, right on the turning point candles and when to take potential trades. See those? Okay, so for taking trades with trend or counter trend trades, they plot right on these turn points. Okay, so it's a huge benefit for newer traders or those that really just want extra confirmation, and there's an alert on these. Now if you don't have Ninja Trader, I teach you, it's very simple how these plot, but you also don't take every one, just like you don't take every trade blindly. What's in front of a trade? For an example, when we are reversing, like see this just here, you had a potential reversal there and a potential reversal there. Do we want to take those? First thing we look at, we can see we have no divergence. Let's also then look at our anchor chart 1. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Now it only takes you 4 or 5 hours, and I'd love to say, oh, in 30 minutes you'll learn this. It's just not true. You know, the BS that's out there, you pick this up in no time. You've got to get some screen time. But see, just here, look at my anchor chart over here. What can you see? Okay, you can see there my trade line there is white. What that means is I'm looking for any trades in the direction of my trade line, just here. And you could sit back, traders, and just focus and specialize in trading in the direction of the trade line, provided you're not selling at a pivot and you've got room to any major support resistance levels. But here's what I want you to notice, and this is where I say to all new traders, don't start by trading divergence initially. Okay, you want to master trading with the trend because it's trickier. Okay, now see here, this is called angulation, by the way. Philip Bill Williams used to talk a lot about angulation. Actually, it's where I learned angulation 25 years ago. See how price action is angling away from the EMAs just here. Notice here on the anchor chart 1, notice how now I've got a candle close, and now we get the pullback, and it turns into it actually turns into what we call a 2BD just here. And notice here I have 2 trade entries. I've got my rule of 1, and look at the arrow there. I've also got a trade line entry. Okay, so I've got 2 potential entries right here. All of those would have been winning trades, and they plot automatically. Now what about this one? No, why am we're not going to take this one? Because we're against the trade line on both the entry chart and the anchor chart 1. Very simple rule that'll keep you out of a lot of losing trades. Now as we finish up, here's what I want you to remember. All you need, now I call these steps, by the way, this is what we call a 2-tick Renko. Means that from the high to the low of each one of these candles, the actual bricks, that's what Renko, I just call them candles, is $20, or each step there is $10 or 1 tick. So if we entered here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, we entered here 1 2 3 4 5, there's your 20 ticks for the day straight away, just there. Okay, how many a day you're after? 25 to 40 ideally. Now the last thing I just want to point out here is this here. This could turn into a double top reversal trade. See this down here, this is what I call a MACD platinum. It's a 0 lag MACD. See how my higher time frame, how I've rallied up, and yet my MACD has stayed low. This is where we could possibly get a reversal. Something that tells we may not be quite ready for it is this. See what's just above me, the 80-cent level. The 80 cent is a very important level on oil, so we'll see where this goes in time. The important thing though for new traders is you had a potential entry there, you had one there, you had one there. On the way down, if you're trading your 2Bs, which you definitely want to be trading, is there, you had one there, all confirmed by your anchor chart 1. Look at your trade line, and I won't even get into the midline just here right now either, but that's another brilliant confirmation. Traders, you can just trade full-time trading with the trend. In fact, Linda Raschke, who many of you have probably heard of, wonderful lady, been very successful, her and her husband, as traders for many years. As Linda says, some of the best traders she knows trade one market and one setup only. That's all they trade. The newer traders tend to want to trade everything. They want to trade a basket full. You could focus on and just master trading with the trend, and that's all you trade. And you're just sitting back, just waiting for your setup. You're like a cat in the bushes waiting to bounce. You're like a sniper up on the hill, just waiting for your setup. Now for once again, if you're a trade station, sorry, yeah, and I've got, see the black dots there, I've got that coded for trade station. But if you're with NinjaTrader, your alerts will start squawking when those set up, so it can make life a little bit easier. And there's two different setups there. You've got the trade line and you've got the rule of one. So traders, this was another great trading day for me. I love teaching. If you want to learn these setups, you know, they're not rocket science. There's nothing magical about them, except I've put 28 years of research and development into trading. It's what I do. I love trading. If you've seen some of my earlier videos going back 10 years ago or so, you'll see there I've got just about every indicator you can imagine I've purchased, and I come back to, you know, the slingshots, back to the rule of ones, back to the 2Bs. Why? Because they work. They're based on, you know, human nature, and we see them repeat themselves day in, day out. So come and join me. Description links below, sorry, the link to joins below. $197. Come and spend a month with me in the coaching sessions. Remember though, start with the trend trading only, but you'll hear me talk about a lot of that in the sessions. Thank you, traders. I love day trading. I'll see you in my next video.